Alright guys, this is Dojo from SC2 News, and this is another interview of the series where we talk to TeamLiquid.net staff. It's in the thread Meet Your Digital Overlords, and my guest today is no other than Vince. He's known on Team Liquid as Pholon. That name is not supposed to be pronounced, only read, but I did it anyways. So Vince, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks a lot. So tell us a little bit about you. We know you as the Team Liquid red name, you know, as the guy who bans people, as the guy who adds information to Liquipedia. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, for example?
Yeah, so my name is Vince. I'm from the Netherlands. On Team Liquid, I am known as Pholon, as you just said. What's the question again? Just a general introduction, right? I'm 26 years old. I nowadays play random. I work in education, and one of my biggest hobbies is StarCraft. So that's pretty much what I'm here for, I guess.
Yeah. That was actually my next question. Tell me a little bit about your hobbies, but you pretty much answered that. Is there anything else aside from StarCraft?
So StarCraft is a big one. I like music a lot. I tend to read a lot. There's a couple of sports that I like. I play poker, and I do chainmail, which is making stuff out of metal rings.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because I know you made a chainmail, for example, for Day 9. I've seen that in your blog on Team Liquid, and also Day 9 posted a picture of it when he received it on his Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, he received it, which was quite cool, because you know, if you post stuff overseas, there's no way to trace it, so you're always kind of just, you know, crossing your fingers and hope stuff will get to its designation. So that was really cool that, well, first that it actually ended up where it needed to go, and then second that he liked it, so that's really cool. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Just tell us a little bit more about chainmail. For example, I have no idea. I mean, I know it looks pretty cool, but it also looks like it's taking ages to make. Tell us a little bit about the process of chainmail.
Okay, basically, chainmail is it's used historically as a means of defending yourself in combat. So that's where you get the hauberks and, you know, the stuff they wear in Lord of the Rings and films like that. Those are actually historical, you know, suits of armor that people used to wear, and they're made out of metal rings, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it as well. So, for example, the Day 9 thing that you mentioned actually uses different colors of rings to make a pattern. The wristband that I'm wearing is actually, it's not quite as good on my laptop camera as it would be in pictures, but if you search TL for that, you can find better pictures. But that's actually, you know, just jewelry, I guess, just having a bracelet. And it's kind of like knitting, I guess, or like just any other kind of creative hobby. I just try to, you know, kind of explore what you can do using metal rings, and just doing that. I blogged a couple of times on TL, so if you want to find out more about that, there's some pictures, you know, good quality pictures, not that kind of picture. So yeah, if you want to find out more about that, then check those out. I guess.
Okay, and how did you get into making chainmail? I mean, it's quite an unusual hobby.
I suppose I'm gonna turn up the volume a bit. Is that okay? I once went to a concert, and one of the guys on stage was actually wearing a hauberk, a suit made out of chainmail, and I got a good look at it, and I kind of figured out, okay, this is this is something that I can do. It's like because there's like a pattern to it, and I, kind of recognized it. And so when I got home, I looked up some stuff about it and just kind of tried it out, and then never quite stopped.
Okay, really cool. And you said you play StarCraft, obviously. You said you now play random. How did you get involved with StarCraft? Was it during the Brood War days, or was it during StarCraft 2? How did you get into the game?
There used to be. I'm actually not sure which one was first, but there used to be GOM TV before they switched over to StarCraft 2. They ran 3 individual Brood War leagues and 1 invitational before that, and that was actually casted by Tasteless, and they provided a stream for non-Koreans, and that's actually the first event that I actually watched, and that kind of made me aware that there was such a thing as professional StarCraft, and such a thing as having more than 10 workers, that kind of thing. Because I used to play Brood War since I'm gonna say since it came out, and Kennegat told you that anyone who says that is lying, but it's not true. I actually played it back then, but it was just campaign and UMSs on and off, and never quite got into the 1 versus 1 business. But a friend of mine, he had played that, and he actually knew about Team Liquid and about Korean, and he was a big Savior fan at the time. So he kind of introduced me to that league, which got me into the Brood War as a competitive game that you can actually be good at. So that was kind of my introduction to StarCraft. So that particular league, I think that was in 2008. I'm gonna say maybe 7. Actually, not so sure. But right around that time, anyway.
So it was mainly through watching tournaments online. So you played a bit before, messed around with the single player, but the multiplayer side of it was through Brood War tournaments.
Yeah, it was. I think the English commentary helped, and TSL 1 was like right after it, I think, and we actually got together with a couple of friends and watched that whenever we could, and that kind of really introduced me and us to Brood War as like a scene, I guess. And that's kind of when I joined Team Liquid and started practicing more, like I wanted to play a real game of StarCraft.
Yeah. So yeah, Kennegat talked about that a little bit as well, that pretty much Team Liquid was the only real gateway into competitive StarCraft during the Brood War days. So yeah, pretty much for you it's the same deal. You saw it through Team Liquid and then joined Team Liquid. Now you are a mod. Tell us a little bit about the story from becoming a fan of StarCraft to Brood War matches, into joining, into becoming a mod, or red name as you are right now.
Okay. So I started out at Team Liquid just kind of using it as a tool to get to the good matches, so basically to the Korean matches, and they used to play at like Korean times, which were bad for European players, or for European viewers and American viewers as well. So a lot of it was done through VODs and YouTube videos, and we used to have this small VOD thread. I don't know if you know that, but
no idea.
No, it's a legendary thread, and it's still alive. Like since I think it was started in 06 or 07, something like that. But that still exists, and that's like the first thing that I started contributing to, because when you join a site that's as big as Team Liquid, I don't know, I was kind of under the impression that that it just kind of ran itself or something, and I wasn't really aware that as a user you could actually contribute actively. But then at one point, one of the guys that usually updated the thread didn't do so, and I stepped in. It just kind of started helping out in that way. So that was like my first contribution. And after that, I think, let's see. So after that was the launch of Wikipedia 1, as well as, and I ran some Team Liquid Arena events. I don't know if you know those, but at one point, like, live stream became kind of up and coming, so we used that to make a show. So that's one thing I organized, and then I started helping on Wikipedia because I thought that spells and ability could have their own page. So I made a lot of those, and around that time, that was December 2009, I think, we had a big meetup in Freiburg in Germany, which is where I actually talked to some to ASAP. I don't know if you know that name, but he is like the main guy at Wikipedia. You know, we had a couple of good conversations, and from there I became more active for Wikipedia, and eventually became staff for that, you know, section of the forum.
So they recognized you because you contributed to Wikipedia regularly.
Yeah, and it's not just you can write a lot or, you know, do a lot, but, you know, having conversations with other staff members, you can actually voice your opinion and stuff. And you know, I showed that I'm interested in making, you know, the site not only bigger but also better. And, you know, from that you can get in a staff group just for Wikipedia, and that just opens new ways of contributing. So at one point I started helping out with the calendar as well. I've done some stuff for writers as well, and you just start doing more diverse things. And at one point I was given a blue name, which is basically that you're a veteran staff member, I guess, because, you know, that's just where you naturally go if you keep doing stuff for the site. And then last November in 2011, they asked me to join the red staff members, and just because, you know, you keep contributing, and that's like the natural progression. So now I also get to moderate the forums and read the reports that people hand in and stuff like that.
So now you got the power.
Now I have the power, yeah. And it's something that I'd never done before, because some people get to like moderate the IRC channels and stuff like that, or have experience in other ways, but I'd never done that, so that was kind of scary. But I don't know. I try to do a good job of it. So.
So how does that work? I mean, you got the red name. Does that you know, require you to read this massive list of commandments and all kinds of mod notes? You know, do not act upon this, but act upon this, and we take the bonjour word very seriously, for example, and all these kind of things.
No.
No.
Sometimes I wish it was, because, you know, sometimes it's hard to make a decision. But usually it's some things are clear cut, so you can just, you know, act accordingly, and other times if it's hard to make a decision, you just talk to other staff members, see what they think, and then reach a joint conclusion. So it's not like there's a set list of rules for you know, for the forums, but but that isn't necessarily problematic as well either. So.
But I mean, yeah, as you said, I would imagine that it's quite a burden sometimes when you have to make a judgment call, whether or not something's alright or not. But it's you still browse the forum for fun, right?
I don't know. I've never. I'm not much of a forum guy, actually. It's not that I'm a lot more interested in the activities, just like following tournaments or writing. I don't know, just doing things, and not so much the reading. So like nowadays you sometimes have to, because topics are, I don't know, like controversial, and they need some kind of moderation or some type of drama happens, and I never used to be interested in that, but now you kind of have to, I kind of see it as my responsibility to kind of keep up to date on what's happening in that, with that kind of stuff. So I read some, but not a lot.
All right, and like from your perspective, has it gotten more dramatic from the good old Brood War days to now?
I don't know. Some things are, because like before I actually got staffed, I didn't pay that much attention to the kinds of discussion that went on. But I know there was plenty of drama in the good old Brood War days. It just wasn't that big because there weren't as many people. And nowadays, I don't know, like some minor things are really, really bad. But overall, it's usually like a bit of drama, and that kind of dies out the next week or so. If you want to talk drama, you should ask Kanighet, because he's into that stuff, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on a little bit, maybe away from what you do at Team Liquid, in more general, into StarCraft 2 and the current scene, the tournaments, and the big change in esports that everyone's talking about right now. Let's start off really simple. Do you pay for any streams?
No.
Would you?
No. I don't know. It's it's difficult. Like for it's hard to voice an opinion about this without really trash talking. All right, because we
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
We used to watch when GomTV did the Brood War tournaments. They had stream issues from time to time, and when GomTV first came out with their StarCraft 2 leagues, it was I forget the pricing, but it was some amount. I don't necessarily remember, and we never. I'm happy with the free stream, which is fine. And then a couple of friends and myself, we pulled together to watch the finals live on a paid stream, and then that stream was terrible. Like, it crashed, and it crashed and burned, and did so from then on I was like, okay, this is I'm not gonna pay for something if I don't get my quality guaranteed. So that's kind of when I stopped paying for anything. And nowadays there just isn't any more incentive, because if I want to watch something, there's going to be something on that's for free.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very rich guy, so I don't really find it necessary to actually pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the pay-per-view model, but I'm not gonna voice my opinion now, because it's a lengthy discussion topic. I think
they can try it. I don't care, but I just won't watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I talked to David Ting just before IPL4, and his idea is quite interesting. I think he mainly focuses, or with IPL, they focus on growing the audience and monetizing at a later stage with a bigger audience. And I mean, they're running a freemium model where you can watch up to 4 ATP for free. Exactly because of the reason that, you know, some people simply do not have the money to pay, let's say, every weekend, every second weekend, every month, you know, whatever money it is, you know. So with this whole idea of monetizing esports, do you think it's necessary to go into models like pay-per-view or freemium? Do you see a model that's, you know, better than any other model, or?
Like, it'd be good if StarCraft could sustain itself, but I think people are just too eager to monetize it. For example, like, it'd be good if StarCraft could grow in such a way that it would be just on television and we could just make revenue that way. But I don't know. It's difficult. I don't think that you should be monetizing just yet, just because it's not. We're not that big, I don't think. As far as, you know, the scene as a whole goes. But I'm not an expert of economics or stuff like that. So that's just my feeling that they're kind of trying to work towards monetizing it too eagerly. Yeah.
I actually had a really good question right now. I'm stuck on what it was. I wanted to follow up on that. Let's continue. I'll get it back. I will jump back to that question. It'll be a bit of a messy order, but anyways, let's go into you know, players of StarCraft 2. I mean, you are working, or you're working for Team Liquid. I guess you're not getting paid as most of the staff members. So I would assume you're a fan of Team Liquid as a professional team.
As a team, yeah, sure.
Do you have any favorite players in StarCraft 2?
It's like, even back in Broodwar, people had like favorite teams and favorite players, and I never quite got into that. Like, I just want to see good StarCraft. So if a match between, you know, there's gonna be, like, there could be matches between two players that people didn't like, and these people would be, these two players, I hate them, blah 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 blah. And I would just, you know, I'd much prefer to just judge that match based on its own merits. So I've never been, like, you've got huge CJ fans or SKT fans on TL, but I never quite got into that thing. For StarCraft 2 though, it's still the same. I try to not, you know, keep some players in some kind of higher regard just because I've decided to do so. I still try to base, you know, to judge matches on their own merits. However, I do have a weak spot for Team Liquid, obviously, as well as Slayers, because Boxer is running that show.
Yeah.
And he's quite legendary. So, and you know, his play. Well, I might have to say MMA's play, but his play and MMA's play really, I felt that they made a really big leap towards the kind of game that StarCraft 2 has to be, or the kind of way in which StarCraft 2 has to be played, sort of. And then there is hoping for foreigners, which is, I don't know. It's it goes against everything that I said before, but it's still kind of nice to associate yourself with certain players to root for.
Yeah.
Just to have that kind of, have that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really big discussion point at the moment, with IPL ending up being very much dominated by Koreans. A lot of people even came up with suggestions like limiting the seats for Koreans, limiting the number of Koreans that are allowed to enter a foreign tournament. That's one side to the problem. I think the other side is that Koreans are simply not marketed as well in in the foreign scene, because when I talked to Kennegit, for example, about this, we talked about this a little bit, that often Korean teams are seen as teams, as in competing in an esport, rather than a marketing product in a way. Like you can see EG and even Team Liquid, they're putting out a lot of extra content that does not necessarily have to do with playing StarCraft. So do you think that might be a solution to focus on marketing Koreans better, or do you actually think there will always be this divide between Koreans and foreigners, and the fact that foreigners cannot really identify with Koreans?
That's a lot of questions.
Yes.
So the first issue, I guess, that you're addressing is, do we want to market StarCraft 2? And like I said before, that'd be nice, but I'd still prefer good competition. Like if IPL says, okay, we're gonna limit it to 4 Koreans because we need to market, these other foreign guys, then I'm gonna say that's fine, and I hope your tournament does well, but it's not gonna be as relevant competition-wise. And that's still, like, one of the reasons that I appreciate Brood War and StarCraft 2 so much is that it's really a skill-based game. You can argue whether it's a sport, but I would still like to think that players win by the merits of their skill. So this is like an essential point for me, that the competition stays legit. And as far as what were the other parts of the question?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I tend to make things very complicated.
It's okay.
Really simple. The other question was, should we focus on maybe marketing Koreans better in the foreign scene? There's lots of chances. You can see, let's say Boxer. He markets himself very well in the foreign scene as well. Marine King Prime, MC, SKMC. He's amazingly good at putting himself out there, and
but those are, like, for MC, I think it's just a personality trait. I don't think he goes out of his way necessarily, and it's fine to be. I think it's fine to be proactive in marketing, your team or your players or just the game, but you shouldn't compromise for it on the competitive side of it. So as long as stuff stays as competitive as possible, it's fine to try and market more. Like that would be the order of priority for me, I think. Like, one thing is, like, OSL started today, and people are asking in the thread and just now in stream chat and so, what's the prize pool for this? What's the prize money for this? What can people win? And it's not as relevant as, like, there will be a prize, sure, but that's not, for me, that's like, okay, I'm not involved, so that's not, it's not too valid of a statement, but the thing that you win with winning an OSL is just the amount of prestige that comes with it. Like, it's not, like, I think that's the priority order for a league like that. Like, first there's the prestige of being able to say I've won an OSL, and then there's the money. But
and
so sorry, go on.
No, perfect. Okay, so still on that issue a little bit, but moving away from it as well. The idea between Koreans and foreigners, there's now, people are talking about the skill cap is now, getting bigger, similar to Brood War. Do you see that happening? Do you see foreigners falling off the the top tier?
Sure. Like, this has been discussed to death, but it's very simple. Like, Koreans are in a dedicated team house, and they practice their asses off all day. And foreigners are like, some have a house, some just, play at home, and they train maybe 4 or 5 hours a day, and they do an internet talk show next to their practice, or they have school or stuff like that. And if you want to keep up with the Koreans, you have to train as hard and as much and as diligently as these Koreans. Like, it's not like there's something in the water in Korean, or that they have some kind of StarCraft skill gene, something.
Yeah.
It's just their way of approaching the game. And as long as that isn't mirrored by foreigners, then
there will be a gap.
And that gap is gonna grow. Yeah. Sure.
It might shrink again with the release of Heart of the Swarm. I mean, that's similar to the beta of StarCraft 2, possibly, where where a lot of creative play was awarded. The little one, he was extremely successful during that time because he was just trying out these different unit kinds and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sure, there's gonna be, like, Heart of the Swarm is gonna get released, and then there's gonna be these new units and these new timings or new tactics, and everyone is gonna have this window in which they are gonna be able to figure out some stuff and then abuse that to, I don't know, like, knock a Korean out of GSO or MLG or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily I don't know, it's not a very consistent way of improving if you have to depend on expansions and patches and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. To finish up, let's talk a little bit about let's say at the end of school you always have a yearbook kind of thing. We're gonna do something similar with Team Liquid. You have these kinds of awards in the yearbook sometimes that for example, I don't know, most dedicated.
We don't get yearbooks here, but okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to nominate people now for the different awards. Let's start off with who's your favorite TLNet staff member or player? Who do you have a lot of contact with? Who do you really get along with well?
That's a lot of different questions.
Okay, again.
TL staff or player?
Let's focus on staff, because this is for the staff, right? Favorite
staff member?
And why? There's still worst, There's still worst coming up.
Really? Okay. Well, there's a lot of staff members that I have. I get along with every staff member pretty much, and there's a lot of friends in there as well. Okay, so there's wow. Okay, I was gonna say ASAP because he was the first guy that I met and really talked to, and he's a great guy, by the way, and I consider him a good friend as well, and he got me he kind of got me into the loop of Wikipedia and then staff, etc. But before that was when I ran my first Team Liquid Arena event. It was actually Manifesto 7 who came in and said, okay, this is a great initiative, I'm putting it on the calendar. And that actually meant a whole lot because it really showed that someone who was basically, you're one of the, I don't know how many we had back then, like 50,000 members or something, I don't know. You're basically a nobody, but you can still do something that's really contributing and really constructive. And he was like the first person to voice that, and that really meant a lot as far as not just a statement, but also the kind of motivation that you know, the motivation which motivated me to do more. So I'm gonna say Manifesto 7.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry, there's not worst staff member, but let's go into this kind of direction. Anyways, let's say most annoying. It can be in a comical way as well, of course. Who's the most annoying? Yeah.
Staff member. Wow. These are difficult questions.
Right? I know. If you don't want to answer, or if you want to answer in a comical way, that's fine.
No, it's actually difficult because no one's like consistently annoying. I guess, okay, I'm just gonna say Flamewheel because he keeps getting into the Wikipedia forum and making posts about stuff. So that's my nomination.
Okay, I will put that as the main quote for this interview on top of the. I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's finish off with the last one. Who's the best looking?
Best looking? Probably. People say Liv the Pencil Boy is the best looking, but I've got to go with Sir Jolts. Because if you hear his voice as well, oh my god.
Alrighty, is there anything else?
He's Irish now. He's Irish.
Yeah.
So he's got the accent.
It's the accent. Alright.
It's that.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you want to say to people watching? Is there anything else you want to say to, people using the forums? Anything?
Okay, first off, please behave so that we don't have to ban you and stuff. That would help. Well, that's a negative thing to start out with.
It can only get better now, so.
It can only get better, sure. Let's see. I'd like to shout out to you because this, the interview, the TL staff people is really something that's a really good contribution. Like people like to sit around and whine about balance and units and players and casters and stuff, and there's too few people. So no, wait, I'm not gonna say too few because that might actually be skewed, but and there's a couple of people who actually sit down and just do something, and because of all the others, I really appreciate it when people do stuff like that. So big shout out to Jojo Starcraft 2 News. We should just call you Jojo, right?
Yeah, Jojo is fine.
Right. Jojo. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. Shout out to all the staff members. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @TLPholon, and that's it.
I'm gonna put the Twitter link in the video description as well. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm speechless now. I don't know how to end this. Yeah, thanks a lot. And by the way, in the chat at the beginning we had someone saying, when are you gonna unban me, and all this sort of stuff. And Flamewheel already had his little message in here as well. So
came in at like the last second.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Last second, it's Slarder actually. I recognize that name from the fan club thread for Scarlet. Okay.
Nice. I'm not Swedish, by the way. Anyway.
You look Swedish, is that what? Oh yeah.
That's what you said.
Like a Swedish death metal fan. Oh, actually, yeah. Before we end, like, what kind of music do you listen to? I mean, you said you got into the chainmail thing from a concert. That doesn't sound like a Coldplay concert.
No. Nowadays I'm into progressive stuff. Like I listen to metal as well as classical music and you know rock. Generally, I try to say I'll listen to anything that's good. I don't know. So that's it's still mainly, you know, metal and classical stuff.
All right, cool. Thanks again, and yeah, I'll upload this as soon as possible. Thanks for coming.
Okay. All right, no problem, man. Take care.